One of the most hotly debated subjects among people who play the guitar is how much music theory should you know? Or should you know any music theory at all? Well, I decided to do a video on this subject and express some of my thoughts on the matter. I hope you enjoy it. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, please do. Please subscribe. And if you are already subscribed, thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate it. If you have any thoughts on this subject at all, please let me know. Comment in the comment section below. Thanks. Why do we need music theory? We don't need it. We don't need music theory. Nobody needs music theory to make music. But why would you want to know some theory? And even if you think you actually don't know any theory, you probably know more than you realize. You know, when you hear somebody saying things like, I don't really know any theory, or I just play what I feel. I think you might think about the possibility that they just don't want to talk about it. That rather than get into a conversation about theory or what they know and what they don't know, you can safely assume that anybody who is working professionally as a musician knows some theory. How much do they know? How do they feel about it? Okay, that's all over the place, right? But when you talk about playing a D chord, or an A chord, or an E chord, whether you call that G sharp minor or A flat minor, you're going to call it one or the other, and that's some theory. The names of the notes alone is theory. Major and minor, theory. 4/4 time, theory. 4 beats to a measure. You're talking about how deep you go. Totally depends on context, what you want to do. Now, you're gonna get to a point where you want to know, what do I call that? What did I do there? How did my hand find its way to that set of notes at that moment? I want to know. Well, that's not a major scale. Is it a mode? What's that? It just means you started and ended in a particular place. What's that? You don't want to know because it's theory. When do you get to that point? You get to that point when you realize, theory is a language. There are people who say, no, it's math. It's not a language. It doesn't meet the requirements of a language. You can't simply have a conversation using theory terminology and nothing else. You can't order, your guitar strings through Amazon by using music theory. You can't use music theory as an everyday language to describe everyday things. No, it's a technical language. There are technical languages. Music theory is a technical language to describe musical ideas, to name the colors that you see, which you also don't need to know the names of the colors of the rainbow, the colors of the spectrum, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. You don't need those names. You'll see them anyway. You'll see those colors anyway. Now imagine saying, no, I can't paint my picture because the names of the colors are distracting me and it's too technical. How much effort do you put into something that you really love to do? Take anything that you really love to do. How much effort do you put into it? How much time and energy do you put into it? How much do you care about? Do you care about it enough to really understand it, what you're doing? Or do you just treat it superficially? That's, to me, I'm just saying what I think. To me, if you're a musician, if you say, I am a musician, I make music, I am a musician, and you say that, but you don't want to know as much as you can about the art form that you are manifesting. To me, this is what I see. To me, it says you're afraid of something. Or, I don't want to think like anyone is lazy. Because I don't think it's laziness. Because you can be, you're avoiding theory, but you're not lazy. But you don't know what you're avoiding. Because somehow it never has been clear what that stuff really is. Nobody has ever said, wow, I wish I had never learned all of that theory because now I can't be creative like I used to be. Maybe you don't get what theory is. Maybe you've gotten the wrong idea because, I don't know, it hasn't been represented to you in a way that is appealing. It doesn't mean you have to know everything. There's not like a requirement that you know all of it. There's always going to be stuff that you're just going to have to say, okay, that's enough for now. I got what I needed. I got the stuff I needed. So I'm going to give you a list of things in theory that you must know. If you're going to go down the theory road and you're going to learn anything about theory, this is what you want to know first. What do you need to know first? What is a scale? What is the C major scale? The notes of the C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and their interval structure. The interval structure is the distances between the notes, a series of whole steps and a couple of half steps in a particular series. Now you can find this information all over the place. Whole step, half step, whole step, half step. And to be able to play that on your instrument, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and then both directions, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. That's the single most important thing you need to know in theory. And it's not about reading music. It's about understanding the structure of the music that you're playing based on the language of theory. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, major scales first. You're not going to get minor scales if you don't understand major scales. Just hold off on the minor scales. People say major scales are happy and minor scales are sad. I'm sorry, bull. No. Major scales don't have to be happy. Minor scales don't have to be sad. There's plenty of music in minor keys with minor scales that is absolutely powerfully, vehemently passionate and sensual and not sad. Sadness does not even begin to describe what is possible in a minor key. So if you hear someone say minor keys are sad and major keys are happy, they are misrepresenting theory. That's a misrepresentation of how theory works. Minor keys are not called minor because they're sad, and major keys are not called major because they're happy. Because if that was true, then we would just say sad keys and happy keys. We wouldn't have words like major and minor. Major means big, minor means small. Minor keys are called minor because the note that determines the difference between the major key and the minor key is higher up in the major key than it is in the minor key. We have this thing called the third in music. Now this ties in with the next thing you need to know, because if you know your scale, if you know your major scale, and you get a glimpse of the minor scale, but stay focused on the major scale. The minor scale is there. It's waiting for you. The major scale is the starting point. The major scale is the entryway. It's the entryway. And when you enter the building in which music happens, the structure of music, when you enter, the major scale tells you what you need to know to get to the next level. And the third note of the major scale is the note that makes it major, but it's also the note that tells you something about the idea of harmony. Now, harmony means you're playing more than one note at a time. That's basically what it means. And when you play chords, chords are a form of harmony, harmonic ideas, harmony. And there are major chords and minor chords. And you probably already know this if you play at all. You know that there are major chords and minor chords. Major chords are not happy. Minor chords are not sad. Major chords are major because the third note is higher, which means there's a greater distance in pitch between the root of the chord and the third. And that makes the chord bigger in a sense. It's the first thing that happens in that chord is a bigger jump of pitch. And the first thing that happens in a minor chord from the root up to the next note in the chord, the third of the chord, is a smaller jump. And so it is minor for that reason, essentially. And every musical key has a combination of major chords and minor chords. Whether it's a major key or a minor key, every key has a combination of major chords and minor chords in a certain sequence.
And of course, diminished chords.
So these are just fundamental concepts. And you want to know what that stuff means, how it works, and how to find your way through a key, starting with a major key, from the first chord to the second chord to the third to the fourth to the fifth to the sixth. There are 7 chords in that major key. And you ought to be able to play them in the order that they happen. And once you can do that, then you want to do that in more than one key. You want to do that in all the keys. Now, on the guitar, that is not impossible. It is not the most difficult thing in the world, but it takes a little bit of work. And when you've done that, a lot of other things will start to become clear to you. You're going to make better music that way. I listen to music all the time that I want to learn, and I just try to get it by ear most of the time. I look at the page when there's something that is complicated enough that I need to have it written down, and I need to rely on the sheet to learn it. But I can usually pick stuff up by ear, and I'd rather do it that way most of the time because it feels like I can just kind of absorb it better that way. But that gets easier to do when you understand the theory of key structure, chord structure, because I can say, oh, I'm hearing a 3 chord there. I'm hearing a 5 chord there. And I'll find it, and then I'll know where the rest of the chords are in that song, because they all will follow some kind of logic. And if I get it wrong once in a while, it's okay. I can still find my way around through the structure of the chord, because the theory will help me identify what I'm hearing. So these are the things that will get you started to use theory in a way that is relevant to your experience with music. Start with the basics. Start with the major scale, a major key, the chords of the major key, root, third, fifth. Know the root, the third, and the fifth of every chord. There's 7 chords. 7 chords. There are 7 days in the week. You can learn the structure of all 7 chords in 1 week if you devote a little bit of time to it every day. If you can't manage to do that, 2 weeks. A month? How long will it take? Not all that long. How long are you going to be making music for in your life? Years? Lecture time is over. I got to do a few other things, so I'm going to get to that. And this has been fun. I hope it's been fun for me. I hope it's been fun for you.